I'm Marlow Felton, and this is Chris Felton. Say hi. It's happy hour with the Feltons with sun in our eyes. Yay. So today we're going to talk about...
I got a haircut.
Yeah, he got all of them. His
Oh my
hair is
God.
cut.
There's not a lot of hair going on.
No, there's not.
Wow.
So today, yeah, and the sun shining
obviously
on your
Friday
bald spot.
It's Friday.
Anyway, and I've got my Marlow Temple. Instead of a Shirley Temple, it's a Marlow Temple.
I'm not
because
sure
it
what
has,
this is.
has vodka in it.
It's these, what the heck do you call them?
I don't know, but they're not very good.
Anyway, these
Yeah.
are first world problems we're talking about.
They are. But today we're talking about perception is power. And years ago, I heard our dog chewing on the stick. I thought she was choking.
So just so you guys know, every show we've done for however many years, if you know what a bully stick is, what's that on my head? What is that on my head?
Our dog eats a bully stick while we talk.
Otherwise, there would be barking.
Yeah.
There'd be...
Yeah, it wouldn't
Anyway,
work.
so if you know what a bully stick is, it looks absolutely disgusting, but
It
it's
is
like...
disgusting. And our dog
it's
loves
heaven.
it, and it keeps her quiet while we're doing this.
So, the secrets of this production.
A bully stick.
All right, they don't care.
And
so,
the Marlow Temple.
So, cheers.
Has vodka in it. That's
cheers.
the
This is
Marlow.
a fancy plastic cup.
It
so
is
we're,
a very fancy
We're
plastic
high rollers here.
We are. We are. So we're talking about perception is power. And years ago, this is a powerful concept about how you perceive really anything can change your life. And it definitely changed our lives. And we read a book many years ago from Sandra Ann Taylor. What is it called?
Quantum Success.
Quantum Success.
Highly.
Yes, it's awesome.
Highly. If you're a law of attraction person, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. Like literally the best law of attraction book ever created.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So what Sandra Ann Taylor talks about in Quantum Success is the concept of how we perceive things can change our life. And she talks about creating new neural pathways with a new perception. So for example, if you drive by some place and you have every morning on your way to work and you have a negative reaction about that place for whatever reason, that negative feeling is creating a neural pathway that's going to create negative results. If you've been listening to us for a while, we talk a lot about how you feel is really important. How you feel can change everything. So if you're feeling icky, upset, fearful, angry, anything negative, it's really important to learn how to switch out of that. And part of that is how you perceive things in your environment, either positively or negatively. And you might be able to explain the whole neuropathway thing, because I'm not a neuroscientist.
So one of our good friends who's another personal development rock star who wrote the Law of Attraction Made Simple, Jonathan Mansky, and the way he talks about it is, so if you're in the jungle, which she never will be, she will definitely never be in the jungle.
I hope I'm never in the jungle.
Camping for her is
the Ritz-Carlton with the window open.
Yeah, the Ritz-Carlton with the window open. So now you guys know kind of what I'm dealing with here, but basically, if you and I were in the jungle and Marlow's at the Ritz-Carlton, and we had to go down to the river to get water, the first day, what would we have to do? We'd have to kind of machete our way through the jungle to get down to the water, right? And so, but the next day, it would be an easier walk. So, the 5th, 6th, 7th day, you have this worn out trail, and it's easy. And so that's how neural pathways get created. But what happens, and when I do my talks, one of the topics I talk on is overwhelm, and how you can actually get addicted to being overwhelmed because you create this neural pathway where you are addicted to cortisol, which is the death hormone.
Wow, yeah.
And years ago, one of my agents, I was coaching him, and his wife's like, he's talking about his wife, and he's just like, she's stressed out and she's overwhelmed and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, she's created this addiction to overwhelm. And so what happens is she's created this neural pathway that basically now she's looking she's looking in her environment to find situations, circumstances, and people that are going to create that create that neural pathway, and basically, get her cortisol hit. So, so we have, neural pathways for, friendly world, unfriendly world. Money's good, money's bad.
Yeah, so basically what we're doing is we're clearing the path in the jungle towards a positive outcome, positive perception, instead of maybe the negative one that we've already created through the proverbial jungle.
Yeah, and it's just, it's work, because you need to prep up or prepare your unconscious mind to use your reticular activating system to scan your environment for what it is that you're looking for. But no, it's so.
Yeah. So I have a story. I have a fun story of how we applied this.
Yeah.
And you remember this clearly.
What
I don't know what story I'm going to share.
I know how you're doing it now.
Yeah, so I get
She wants something else.
I get laser focused on something, and I am laser focused. So
it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
Don't let that white spot on my forehead.
Yeah, don't be scared by the white spot on his forehead. It's just sun.
This is not a alien laser.
No. So anyway,
I think we're better on Friday afternoons with a drink.
Okay, well then maybe we stick to Friday afternoons. I don't know.
These guys are waiting with bated breath to figure out
weigh
when we're gonna do
in
it.
if you want us on Friday afternoon for happy hour.
Friday.
Or Saturday at 1.
I'm all about Friday. All right.
Because we are more fun, I think. Anyway, so here's the story. So years ago, I think this was like 10 years ago, Chris and I lived in this house, and we knew it was just temporary. But we had moved into this neighborhood that we ultimately wanted to live in, and we were kind of assessing the real estate situation in that area to find out what it was that we wanted to buy. Now at this point, we were in no way ready to go and purchase a home. We weren't financially ready to quite do it yet. However, we saw this house that was just down the street, and Chris used to run by this house almost every day, and so we'd see this house. Yeah. And we decided that we were going to perceive this house as already being ours. So we replaced how is this going to happen? There's no way we could afford this house. I don't know how this is going to work. It's just not going to happen. All those kind of negative thoughts that we could have had, we replaced it with, there's our house. I can't wait until we live in this house. I would come home from my run, and I would even tell Chris, hey, I ran by our house today and I saw a light on, or I saw somebody out in the yard, and in our house, calling it our house over and over again. And so we changed our perception of this house already being ours. And we were so laser focused on it, and we seriously, if we think back to that time, honey, we had no idea how that was financially going to happen. And what happened within 6 months of us beginning that process, it really wasn't any longer than 6 months. No. 6 months after we bought that house and we moved in. Yeah. And yeah, it was an amazing house. It's not this house, but it was, that's just a powerful example of what you can do. And maybe there's, like I mentioned earlier, there's something in your environment every single day that you maybe pass by or come into contact with during your day. If it gives you a negative reaction, you have to really work on changing that response to something positive so that you can create a new neural pathway, because that negative response is only going to bring about negative results. So it's incredibly, incredibly powerful.
Yeah, when it's just, in growth and development, and thoughts become things, and your life is created by your thinking. And so what Marlow's talking about is just pay attention to your thinking, and pay attention to the running story that's going on in your head. And most people are just totally unconscious, and when, you know, I had to do all this work to shift my money beliefs, my money programming, I just paid attention to, you know, what was my perception of money. And it's hard to come by, hard to keep, you know, in the story that I told last night, we had an event, it's just a men's event with, you know, 100 guys in a room. And I was taken back to, you know, being at this seminar, and I've talked about it on our show here, with a guy that was a, you know, $4 or $5 million a year guy. You know who I'm talking about, right? And you know, he's making 4 or 5 million, and he's just phenomenal financially. And we were struggling, and I was struggling, and I was just like, dude, why are you here? Or he asked me why I was here, and I was just like, God, dude, money, like, God, it's so hard and all this. And so my perception was money's hard and difficult because I bought it from my parents, and they bought it from their parents. And I'm like, well, you know, what's your perception of money? And he's like, hey, money's easy, man. Like, it's easy to make. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard to keep. Like, it just flows to me. His perception flows to him, right? But then I was like, well, why are you here? And he's like, oh man, people, relationships, spouses. Like, he was on his 3rd or 4th marriage or whatever. He's like, so his perception of relationships was, he's you know, he turned to me.
Unlike you, and you're like, relationships are easy, right?
Well,
he's got me.
Yeah, but I'm like, yeah, those have never been like super hard, right? They're natural and all that. So it's just phenomenal. You know, 2 different guys, 2 different results.
Based on perception.
Based on perception, or I like to call them stories, because you know, stories can be rewritten, and it takes work to change your perception, but it's worth. I highly recommend grabbing
Quantum
Success. Phenomenal book.
Well, but what Chris is talking about here, you know, if you've ever, and maybe you have or haven't ever been around someone that believes that making money is easy. And I remember the first time I heard from a mentor that, you know, with such a high level of belief that exuded from her that it was easy. And it really, I mean, to this day, I remember how I felt when I heard her say that, because it didn't feel like it was easy at the time. And I heard her say that, and the level of belief and her perception that it was easy, same reaction that Chris had. And it was like, wow, this person really has a perception, really believes that making money is easy. And so if you're ever around that, you have to grab onto that and borrow that belief, because the perception is incredibly powerful, and it can really change your life. So, you know, really how you perceive anything is powerful. And so what I would encourage you to do is to pay attention to your environment, things that are around you that you might have a negative reaction to, have negative feelings around, and see how you can change those. You know, maybe it's the job or the career that you want. Maybe you drive by a business, you'd love for them to be your client, or you know, be in business with them, and instead of, you know, driving by there every day thinking, oh gosh, you know, that's never going to happen, or gosh, I'm afraid to call them, or whatever. Imagine that they are your client. They already are your client, and you're driving there to go see them because they're your client. They're your, you know, or whatever the situation may be. So look for those opportunities to shift your perception about something, create that new neural pathway. And you know, like Chris said, it takes time. You can't just do it once and be like, oh, well, that doesn't work. You know, because we were laser focused on that house for 6 months, you know, calling it our house, perceiving it as ours before we actually ever had the house, having no idea really how it was going to happen, but we were just focused on the end result and perceived it as already being ours. And that's really the important part.
Well, and the chapter, or I can't remember if it's a chapter, but definitely a concept that Sandra talks about in Quantum Success is trust. And, you know, trust is a fluid, you know, she calls it a fluid vibration, right? And so, you know, one of my favorite law of attraction quotes is, you know, the images that are fixed in your unconscious mind determine your rate of vibration, and your rate of vibration determines what you attract in your life. Unbelievable, right? And that's from Bob Proctor. And so trust is a very fluid vibration. And so, you know, we weren't like, okay, that's the house, and God, I hope it's going to work. That's not, like, that vibrational level is not very high. I mean, you know, without getting into, you know, particles and quantum physics and all that, but it's
Is that why you have that weird light on the side of your face, or you're all going, woo?
No, but it's, you know, trying to get out of this light.
There you go.
It's real, man. It's, you know, Einstein, you know, proved it out, the theory of relativity, and so it's particles, and everything's got a vibration, and everything moves, and so trust raises your vibration, and you're like, you know, hey, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I expect it to happen. Not that I hope it's going to happen, but I kind of expect that it's not. That's not the vibration that you want. So anything you've ever had in your life, you didn't really hope it would happen. You would actually expect that it was going to happen. And so we actually expected that house. And the other thing is, if your perception is that's where I am, and you start seeing yourself there, you're not going to get caught up in the how-tos, which is where everyone gets screwed up. They're like, how am I going to make it happen? And without bringing all the, you know, the spiritual stuff to the table that we both study, but you know,
and that'll slow things down quickly.
You got to trust whatever you believe in, that, you know, there's providence, and there's a much bigger world outside of what you know, Mike Dooley, Notes from the Universe, says. You know, you kind of look at things through your little radar screen here, and you don't understand that there's all this, right? So everyone tries to look at their situations through this little radar screen, and they try to assess how it's going to happen through this, versus there's all this magic up there waiting to be, you know, called upon into your life. And so when you trust and you expect and you take trustworthy actions towards it, you know, amazing things happen. And, you know, we're not making this stuff up. It's you've had it happen in your life. Just think about some past successes, and it's, anyway, and that's, you know, and I'll shut up after this, but like, go back with a journal and go, okay, when I had things that showed up in my life that I, you know, wanted, and it seemed far out of reach, and, you know, what was my mental thought process? Everyone's got a formula to create results in their lives. It's just like the people we coach, teach, and train, and mentor. I'm like, okay, hey, that just happened. That's awesome. Okay, now sit back and go back and think about, you know, what was your thinking? What were your actions? How did you show up? What was your, you know, your being? Your being was not fearful, doubtful, attached. It was like, no, like, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. I expect it to happen. I trust it's going to happen. I'm going to enjoy the process. And you had a certain level of certainty. So everyone's got that. And so I recommend people write that down and journal it. And then you can always go back and use it. Right. Okay. So Chris has a really weird light thing going on in his face. Don't be scared. Okay. Well, yeah, we have a little sun. Anyway, so just to recap here, perception is power. I've included a link to the blog so you can read the full blog about this powerful concept that we were introduced to by Sandra Ann Taylor in Quantum Success, about how you perceive something in a positive way creates a new neural pathway, and that's what we want, is the positive neural pathway. So what I'm encouraging you to do is find that thing in your environment that's having, that's creating these negative emotions, and replace it with a new perception. You have to kind of trick your brain and tell it a different story so you can create a new neural pathway and create positive results with the positive feeling. You know, like I gave you the example of, you know, the big client that you want, you know, perceive that client has already been yours as you drive by it. You can perceive that you're driving over there to see them. We did it with our house.
we perceive that house as already being ours. And, you know, there's just a long list of things you can do. Use this concept to change your life, because perception is power. And please read my blog, and I think that's it. And we're gonna
have fun. Have fun with it.
Yeah, like the Feltons, we have fun. He's already finished his drink.
There's not much going on there,
okay.
But I think it's drinking time. And so have an awesome weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend, and we'll see you
Thanks
next
for tuning
time.
in.
All right, thanks.